As Vice Chair of the Legislative Black Caucus, I rise in support of this common sense SCR 113 to acknowledge, as stated, the harms and the atrocities committed by the state of California against enslaved people and their descendants. Over the last 2 years, I had the distinct honor and privilege to dedicate a great portion of my life on serving on this California Reparations Task Force, the first in the nation. We studied, we heard testimony, we gathered evidence, and ultimately documented the harms caused by both the federal government and the state of California. This 1,100-page final report identified the harms to African Americans and their descendants, which include devastating health disparities, disproportionate over-policing and mass incarceration, discriminatory housing practices, unequal education, as stated, and the racially motivated unjust taking of property. And although California entered the Union as a free state, they were a free state in name only. The state government still took part in the injustices just like any southern state did. Injustices which included the passage, as stated, as a fugitive slave law to return slaves to their masters, the use of eminent domain to displace communities and confiscate property. This created negative disparities in wealth and quality of non-white neighborhoods. Many people are not aware that California didn't even ratify the 14th and 15th Amendments that was passed in 1868 and 1870 until 1959 and 1962. Almost 90 years to ratify those two constitutional amendments that promised equal rights for all citizens and prohibited states from denying a person's the right to vote on the basis of race. If California hopes to acknowledge and repair the damage and begin the process of healing, we must take action today. One of the first recommendations of the task force is this official recognition of the harms caused. There are still people in this country and state who are either not aware of the state's real role, or they just choose to look away and live in a fantasy world. I encourage each and every one of you to read the 1,100-page report, if not the 1,100-page report, at least the executive summary. And I'm happy to report that our governor has read all 1,100 pages. But I'm encouraged by the findings of a recent statewide poll that shows the majority of Californians believe the harms caused by slavery continue to impact Black residents today. For me, that is a good place to start the conversation about the steps we should take to repair and heal these ongoing harms. Educating all Californians about the enduring harms of slavery in our state and the racially discriminatory policies that were implemented will be critical if we are ever going to fulfill the promise of equal treatment for all. Mr. President, permission to read?
Without objection.
I would like to recite a poem by noted educator, poet, author, Dr. J. John, simply entitled The Cotton Field. Rows and rows of Negroes and Afros in cornrows, elbows to elbows, dragging pig holes in the throes of who knows. But I suppose they knows cotton always grows, and there ain't no chance of winter snows, no hurricane blows to pause their woes or the bloody footprints they sows. So they just keep on singing from heads to toes. Carry they blows on their backs, scarred like tracks, like broken arrows, wishing they were Arapahoes or Seminoles, anything but whiplash Negroes. And there ain't no no-shows. They all keep standing as the sun blazes and steals life from their bone marrows. Their eyes narrow. Sweat falls from burnt skin like nervous sparrows. Because if one falls, they all falls like rows and rows of dominoes. One does fall, but he quick to rose. He rose, then another fell, but she quick to rose. She rose. She rose and he rose. Rows and rows of Negroes and afros and cornrows, elbows to elbows, dragging pick holes in the throes of who knows. But I suppose they knows. They knows they live for their children's better tomorrows. They knows that their lows are for souls you and I can live like we suppose. God bless those beautiful Negroes. Members, let's take the first step. Let's recognize the real history of our state. Let's come together and vote aye on SCR 113.